I need to tell you guys about this because, first off, I had a very particular experience around this, and it has pretty much dominated my life subconsciously. But before we get into this, I am going to help you guys sort this out for yourself. We're going to talk about two really important things about abandonment trauma and how it affects your guilt muscle and how it affects what you suppress in yourself when you're in a relationship. But first, I want to share with you today's episode is brought to you by My World Takes Care of Me. Okay? So you can draw yourself something like that. Make a picture of yourself right there. And draw some letters that look like graffiti. My world takes care of me. And then you can look at it every day and feel awesome that, your world is taking care of you. Abandonment trauma, that's the problem right there, as we're like, no, the world's not going to take care of me. Nothing is. I'm alone. I'm doing it all by myself. No one's helping me. So let's get it going. Did you guys subscribe? Did you guys like? I would so appreciate that from the heart of my heart's heart. I would appreciate it. And sending you back a ton of love. Take the love. Here you go. I'm wishing you the most epic next 5 seconds. Let's go. End day and life. So, the first thing let's talk about is guilt. Why we feel like when you're a little kid and someone who you love, your mom or your dad, pick up and leave, die from whatever cause, suicide, drug overdose, sickness, accident. There is, I guess, murder. We could throw that in there too. I don't mean that disrespectfully. Whatever the cause is, as a kid, it's going to feel like it is your fault. I just want to tell you that is what you probably felt if you're a human being. You probably felt like this whole damn thing wouldn't have happened if I would have fill in the blank. That's what happened to me. My mom committed suicide when I was 12. I thought it was all my fault. I thought I was a bad kid. We weren't on the best of terms, not bad terms, but I was a little bit saucy to my mom. She had a mental illness, and I wasn't having it, and I regrettably was an asshole, and felt flat out shitty, guilty, and on top of missing her and not having a mom. What a mess, right? What a mess. What a mess. You have this grief that just needs to be dealt with. Now on top of that, there's this new self-image, just self-imposed, all brand new, nice and fresh. I'm a piece of actual shit. And then everybody's telling you left and right, honey, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And you're like, okay, thanks. But you really think it is. So you just feel weird. Like, wow, I'm broken. I can't un-guilt myself. Not only is it my fault, but then if it's not, I can't think it's not. What a mess. Mess. This is what it was like for me. I don't know what it was like for you. I have no idea. But I just want to offer you that might be something you experienced. And that is pretty much right out of the can, right out of the box, right out of the script, how it would shake down as a kid. It's my fault. Okay. So number one, to clear this guilt, the first thing to do is please stop trying to tell yourself it wasn't your fault. We're going to get to that later. But in the beginning, you need to stop pushing on the brakes and the gas at the same time and just actually feel like it's your fault. Hear me out. but like with curiosity, like if that was my fault, why? And just validate for yourself that that really feels like the truth for you, and let yourself have a frickin' cry about it. That's the first part. Okay, if you are interested. Then you can clear that. You can do all kinds of things to feel that it wasn't your fault, to get into the truth of it. If that wasn't my fault, if there's a reason it wasn't my fault, what might that be? Just as if you're entertaining the idea. But that's going to speak to your logical brain, and that isn't going to speak to your inner child. Your inner child needs to know that it's going to feel like it was your fault, and to recognize what it is you wanted. I didn't want them to go, obviously. I wanted to feel loved, obviously. I didn't want to make this meaning in my mind that I'm so unlovable my parent will leave, intentionally or not intentionally, right? My hair. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, you can examine that for yourself, and you can beyond logic, you can feel into what you really wanted and needed at that time. What would have been a great outcome for you? For me, maybe my whole family, we get together, we grieve together, we go to a counselor together, we all talk about how we feel together, and we all share how each of us thinks it's our fault. Like, that would have been really healing for me, to hear the rest of my family say that they thought it was their fault too, and I'd be like, whoa, you guys think the same thing too? A lot of times the childhood traumas like this, you just don't talk about it. The coping parent, the surviving parent, is just hanging on with a thread. You know, they need help, you know? So I don't blame and I don't throw shade or fault at my dad. I'm just saying, you know, that's what little me would have needed, and that's what the now me can validate that I'm probably still thinking I need, because those stay with us. Okay, number 2. Is that making sense? Okay, so number 2 is whatever reason you told yourself is the reason why they left, died, committed suicide, got killed, left, just whatever, we'll just say left. The reason you told your little child self is the thing now that you will suppress in yourself. From that moment on, that type of you, that quality of your personality needs to be suppressed and really shouldn't come up at all, because people will leave. So there's super negative association with being like that. So for me, it was sort of being naughty. There's an association with, if I'm a bad person, if I don't go overboard with being good, then they'll leave. Okay? So this is 2 parts. We are going to suppress the part that we blame ourselves for being, and then we are going to overcompensate, do in our relationships. So over be nice, over maybe if, let's just say you were a really angry kid and your parent left, and then maybe you got yelled at for being angry all the time. You got sent to your room for being angry all the time. There's a high likeliness that you might say, well, if I wasn't so angry, they wouldn't have left. So then anger will be something that you can't, you're not allowed to express. It could be anything. It could be sadness. You could have been a really sad child. Something happened to you when you were super little, and it was just stuck in you, and you just had this feeling of like heaviness and sadness, and maybe things made you cry all the time. And your parents would just get impatient with it and belittle you and say, God, would you stop crying? Oh my God, what's wrong now? You know? So then that thing you might blame yourself for doing. I'm talking fast because my battery's dying. You might blame yourself for doing when they leave. The thing that the thing that you got in trouble with or reprimanded for, criticized for the most at the time that they left, is going to be the thing that you would have told yourself, if I wasn't so much that, because they're always yelling at me about it, so obviously I'm too much that, and look what I did now. Look where it got me. The point is, you want them back as a kid. You just want them back. You don't care about all this psychology. You just want them back. And you will do anything to get them back. And so psychologically, we play a game with ourselves deep down, this little thing going on deep down in our psyche. If I'm XYZ enough, the thing that I wasn't, then they'll come back. Now, I know that sounds really ridiculous, 'cause obviously we know they won't if they're dead. But I've talked to people who have parents have left when they were really little, and it turns out that they were like, if I would have been more like this, they would have stayed. If I would have been more like this, they would have returned. So then there's this practicing in real life, in a real kid's real ass life, at school, with their friends, with their teachers, with their other parent, with their siblings, of being this way. Okay, it's like a pact. It's like, okay, that's it. Okay, I want them back, so I have to practice being like this now. Oh man, what a mess. It's so sad. So, the part that is suppressed is the part that we would have gotten in trouble for before they left. The part that we overdo is us trying to set the universe straight, to make them come back. Or, on a logical sense, to make sure it doesn't happen again. And now, you should check that out you can check that out for yourself. What were those things? What was that thing that you might have told yourself was the reason? And this is gonna take you far, fast, because you're handling this part of the way you think about yourself. You're handling this part of the way you think about your relationship to other people and what you need to be for them, rather than being like just with them. There's this compulsion to be something for them, so that. And that gets us into so much toxicity, so much incompatibility, because you're not bringing you to that dynamic. You're bringing you plus the compensation minus what you really are. So, just to clarify this in an example, I would need to be now less acquiescing, more dissenting. So, and to trust that I'm going to be safe, that it's going to be okay, that they're not going to leave. If I'm like, no. Those of you who know me know that I'm lavish with compliments. And that's part of that coping strategy. Not that I don't really mean it, but I am aware that some people are like, the opposite. Like, really? How cool is that? Well, that's how I actually am. So how are you actually? That'd be so cool, right? It'd be so much relief to know that it would be safe to be that actual you guys. This was epic. I was really wanting to share this with you. Again, just a reminder, smash that likey poo. And subscribe if you loved it. Yeah. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Ciao for now.